Hey there, and welcome to the Alive and Unbothered podcast. I'm your host, Cherie Linnell, your mental freedom coach and mentor, and I'm sharing short, actionable strategies every week to help you activate an unbothered mind, transcending depression, transforming your life. So let's talk about the funky thoughts we're telling ourselves and how these thoughts might have gotten there. Can you remember the first time someone told you that you couldn't do something because they didn't think you can? You believed you couldn't, and so you didn't. You didn't because maybe you weren't allowed to, or you didn't because maybe if you did, you didn't want to disappoint the one who didn't think you could, or maybe you didn't want the backlash that would come in the form of, I told you so, if you tried and failed. You were probably very young and the person had a great influence in your life, or maybe this influential person entered your life well into your adulthood. Either way, those first ideas of doubt came from somewhere, and now you're stuck in a pattern of questioning everything and overthinking your ability to do something. You're questioning everything you do now, right? So, how many times have you heard this? Your thoughts influence your feelings, which moves you into action to produce results. Yeah, me too, a billion times. Well, maybe not a billion times, but enough to get on my nerves. There's that aha moment we've all been waiting for. And yet, here we are, stinking thinking again and again and again. See, folks like us with severe depression, our thoughts are in a funk pattern on a regular basis, whereas our stinking thinking influences our shitty feelings, moving us back to the couch, saying fuck it, and therefore intensifying the stinking thinking. Round and round we go around this shitstorm cycle. It's exhausting, right? Well, for us, it's more than just a simple mindset adjustment. We know that if we change our thinking, we'll change the results. The difference between us and those who are mentally healthy is the intensity of our thoughts. Our requirements to overcome it differs in that many of us consult with mental health professionals to help us identify the root cause of our stinking thinking. Now that shit takes a lot of time and talk therapy, so a few articles published on the internet isn't going to cut it for us. But what will? Well, first of all, are you aware when you're entering stinking thinking mode? Full transparency, I don't have the answer to solving stinking thinking in our case, other than to suggest you have a licensed therapist, to coach you through it. But I want to share an experience with you that I had last week with my own stinking thinking, and I hope it provides an inspiration for you to try something different than what you might have read or heard before. See, I was stuck in my head, consumed with overthinking, feeling unsure of myself on the topic for this week's Notes and Musings. I almost talked myself right out of doing this anymore because of old insecurities. My confidence got shook really bad, and I thought to record a farewell episode to run as far away from this as possible. I was overwhelmed with anxiety and desperately needed to check out. So being aware of my mood and my thought process, I asked myself, what is possible if I were to understand what led to this line of thinking? And I love this podcast. It's new. It has potential to help many women find resolve and productivity in their business. I want this to work. I want this to be awesome. So what gives? Why am I like this? How many of you have ever asked that question of yourself? Why am I like this? So I audited my day, and what I discovered was paramount into how I can plan around stinking thinking. I looked for changes to my normal routine. My kids were super cooperative that morning. I had a great breakfast, got in some me time after sending the tiny humans off to school. So, there were no issues there. I reflected on the interactions I had with clients that day, and everything was peachy keen there too. There was no family drama. And so then, prodding around again, I turned and looked at how my environment might be affecting me. It's freezing. It's gloomy out. There were odd, loud banging noises coming in from outside. There were rotten bananas smelling up the garbage. My internet was giving me issues, so I couldn't stream live television without it pausing through all the good parts. It was clear as day. I was uncomfortable. These events were triggers to stinking thinking for me and made me miserable exponentially. I began to understand my mood change on that day and made some small but impactful changes, like I wore extra clothes, cranked up the heat, made sure the garbage was sealed and freshened up the air, listened to a little music, and prepared my notes to record this episode. I got some shit done. My podcast will go on. And I share all of this to ask you, what would it mean to you to take an audit of your day, have a process to find your stinking thinking triggers, and a method to get your shit done? Give this exercise a try whenever you find yourself feeling low, unsure of yourself, and stuck on pausing your business. Having a structured routine is key to whenever you need to pivot to uncover what's triggering you. Look at the big picture of how your day is going, find the holes that are sucking the joy out of it, and shift the paradigm so you can get some shit done. Thank you for listening to the Alive and Unbothered podcast. For more about this episode, please head over to sherrylinnell.com/podcast for notes, transcript, and bonus materials. Thanks again for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button, share with your peeps, and until next time, live your life fully alive and unbothered.